You only want me working part-time in case there isn't too much work next year? Sure. Edit. TL. Doctor. I must confess I have a profound respect for people who do not take crap from their employers. You are my heroes, and so I hope my story can help someone else. Okay. So first, some necessary background info. I live in a small country and I am an engineer in a very niche field. Where I live there are about 15 to 18 PPL in my field in the whole country. Also, unions are a good thing here and most companies are fine with unions. The employee benefits from this, but so does the employer, since the rules of the game are very clear. Clear for most people, as my employer was about to find out. My story goes like this, and it took place late 2019 until late 2020. My team consisted of 3 PPL, me included, and one on our team. Our mentor was ready to retire 2 years prior to this happening. But he stayed on because, codependence issues, I guess. We had 10 to 12 Y experience each. We were just younger and more inexperienced than our mentor, who has plus 40 Y experience. I really envisioned us taking over the team soon-ish. Company is a large actor where I live, but things had not been going too great for the shareholders for some 6 months prior to all this happening. Knowing this, I decide I'll not ask for a raise in my annual performance review to show I am a team player and explicitly state this to my boss's boss, Mr. V. All is fine and well for 3 months. Then the bomb drops. One fine autumn day in 2019 I was called to a meeting with my boss, Mrs. G. Mrs. G told me that they didn't expect there to be enough work to go around for my team next year. COVID-19 had not struck yet, so that was not the reason. So they wanted to cut me down to a part-time job, working only 80%. That would be about 4 days a week, starting 3 months hence. I immediately ask if this is also the case for my other coworker and if our mentor was going to retire. Well, yes. But no. My coworker would also be offered 80%. Our mentor was going to be working 60%. And I am like, what? He really wants to retire, Well, he is not yet, says Mrs. G. Because of reasons and stuff. Okay. So I sign the new contract but feel bad about it, since I was really trying to be a team player and did not feel my employer was taking responsibility for us employees, but only thinking of the shareholders. I also get the feeling that they do not see me or my coworker taking over the team anytime soon. Despite us not being novices in the field, I immediately start planning for the future. After this happens, I start asking around if other employees are also facing part-time employment due to no projects in 2020. As one does. You want to know how others are doing, right? Nobody else is getting part-timed, and everybody else is appalled. Just us 3. We are singled out for some reason. Some of our colleges even say that they have had stints of no work for months without any actions taken in this regard. There is now general displeasure in my team towards our employer. Since our mentor just wanted to retire and let us do the job, there would not have been any reason to have us younger engineers working part-time, really. But no. Because of reasons and stuff. Okay, so what to do? I have a family and 2 kids, mortgages and the lot, and this will be a blow to the family income. So I start planning to do some work on the side. Since I am an engineer, I can do consulting, right? My employment contract says no. But if my employer cannot or will not offer me a full-time job, the union contracts say I can do what I want with the rest of my time, and my employer cannot interfere. I also have the right to refuse more work from my employer because I may have other obligations. Me 1-0 employer. I open up my own company. Buy a domain. Make a web page. Start calling, writing and letting people know I am available for consulting. Of course I checked with the union lawyers beforehand if this was okay. Which it was. Totally fine. They told me that since my employer laid me off and rehired me part-time I could do what I wanted the rest of my time. This would not have been the case if I had requested part-time employment. Great. I go to work for myself then. Me 2-0 employer. Almost immediately after our new contracts take effect, my employer starts noticing there is more than enough work to go around and asks me to work more hours. No, I say. Unfortunately, I have other obligations. I really didn't. I was just making a stand and forcing them to recognize their own mistake. Time passes. My savings account drains in about 3 months' time, but we manage to cut down on our expenses, so it's not rough seas but still not smooth sailing by far. Income is a bit on the low side, although I managed to get some consulting done in my own time. I switch from sourdough bread to stale boring white bread. Go from good beer to Bud Light to no beer. What you have to do. You have to do. No more fine roasted coffee from the small shop on the corner. Only what sludge I can get at the supermarket and brew at home. But this is temporary, I tell myself. And then it happens. I get a big job and start moonlighting to get it done. Working evenings and weekends. And this is when shit hit the fan because word got out. I get an angry phone call from Mrs. G's boss, Mr. V. And we have a heated conversation over what I can and cannot do. The conversation was something like this. In short terms, Mr. V. Think of how this reflects on our company. Me. That is not my concern here, Mr. V. I have bills to pay and mouths to feed. Mr. V. This is not what we had in mind. Quote. Me. Hey, you laid me off, man. You should know the rules of the game. You cannot dictate what I do in my spare time. Perhaps you should have thought it through when you reduced my hours. You think I was happy to lose income and would not try to remedy my financial situation? Quote. Mr. V. You can work more hours for us then. Quote. Me. I have other obligations now. Can't let down my customers. Mr. V. Very angry now. You should consider your next steps carefully, young man. Quote. Me. Mr. V. I shall do that. Thank you for calling. You pompous prick. I silently added. What then followed was phone call from me to my union explaining the situation. Later that week my employer got a phone call from the union lawyers who spoke to Mr. V and our department, telling them what they can and cannot do. And I just kept working for myself. Mr. V. is now very unhappy. Stops greeting me when we pass each other in the hallway. Me 3-0 employer. 2 months later I hand in my resignation. 3 months after that I am gone. And to rub salt in the wounds, as they say here. Is that a general expression? I don't know. Please do tell me if there is another expression in English for something to increase an already painful experience. Something remarkable happens. My coworker, not our mentor mind you, asks if I would want to partner up and start a new company together. Yes, I say, for it was a great idea. County worker hands in resignation a month after I handed mine in, and we start working in our own company full-time. People that depend on our services are very happy about us entering the market as independent consultants. Business takes off. Me, us 4-0 employer. The aftermath. My former employer has had an opening for our jobs since August 2020. Our mentor told me last month he has finally put down his foot and is retiring at the end of the year as he's turning 70 soon. They will thus have gone from 3 PPL in a very niche field to zero in less than 2 years because of bad managerial decisions. It did not come as a surprise to me that there were no others available in the market. Since it is a niche field, I know almost every person personally. So I could have told them that everybody seemed happy with their current employer. Being a manager must suck. Oh wait. That's me now.
BR from the manager.
Sounds like they might need your company's services pretty soon. Companies hate it when they actually have to suffer from their dubious actions. You should consider your next steps carefully, young man. How dare you? LMAO. Salt in the wound is definitely a saying here in the UK and Western Europe. Great story. Wish I could see that Mr. V's expression when the old guy retired. When a company starts laying off workers or reducing their hours, something happens called natural attrition. Basically, people get pissed and they resign. It's happened to me in the past. I saw all these people being made redundant and I was pissed. I had to stay. So I resigned. It was wonderful. HR should have known this would happen. My ex-boss tried to reduce my hours once. Totally different situation. More of a small, already part-time job that I already hated, and he was trying to get me to resign as he could not fire me without a good reason. And I wouldn't resign because I needed the money. I just want to share how that conversation went. Boss. Starting November. We were October 31st lol. We can only offer you 10h per week. I was doing 24. Me. By law. You can't force me to reduce my hours if I don't want, and you are obligated to give me 10 days to think on it and decide. Boss yells at me that he offers to reduce my hours, and he's not trying to force me. I insist on the 10 days to think, knowing very well I won't accept it. 10 days later. Boss. So will you sign the 10h contract? Quote. Me. No. Boss. But we can't offer you more. Me. Well, if then fire me for economic reasons. I will be making more on unemployment than by working 10h for you. I didn't get fired. Guess he could offer me more then. Hey, now they can hire your company to do the same work at inflated rates. Awesome. Congratulations for the new business. I really hope things go well for you. Take my update. Rubbing salt in the wound is a correct saying in English. In the US at least. A worthwhile alternative is to add insult to injury. Knowing this, I decide I'll not ask for a raise in my annual performance review to show I am a team player. As an owner. Hell yes. I love this attitude. Knowing this, I decide I'll not ask for a raise in my annual performance review to show I am a team player. As an employee. Heel LLL fucking no. There's no team player. I'm paid to do a job and you need to pay me. Plus any bonus I'm owed. The dichotomy is striking. I know. For employees. I'm always looking for that. As an employee. You ain't getting none of that. I worked for Dollar Company. That hired engineers out to other companies by the hour. With a big fat markup. Lots of our clients were in oil and gas. Then the oil price dropped. Dollar Company's clients wanted to cut their costs. And so they cut the high-priced consulting engineers hours first. Dollar Company made it very clear that they would fire engineers for whom there wasn't work right now. By doing so, my team was safe. We were software developers. A group of engineers who were all hired out to the same client saw the writing on the wall and all quit together. Then they went back to that client and said, "Hey, Dollar Company no longer has any engineers with the skill set you need for this work. So they can't do it anymore. So how about you hire us directly?" Everybody wins. The engineers get more per hour. The client pays less per hour because they're not paying Dollar Company's slice. Except Dollar Company. Of course. They didn't win at all. It also occurred to me that you guys are the reason your mentor is now suddenly retiring. Imagine his position. He has a cushy part-time well-paid job that complements his lifestyle perfectly at his age. But one then the other coworker leave. Now he has to put in long hours doing the job of 3 people. He isn't going to stand for that. Out the door he goes. Petty revenge would be offering to go in as a consultant, with a special idiot tax applied to their contract. Neat. For reasons and stuff. Now I need to hear what happens next. Does Mr. V hire your expensive services or does the company fold due to lack of specialized people? Lol. If I were you, I would also tell your mentor that if he was bored or needed extra cash that he could, from time to time, do a job or 2. I've got an uncle. Few degrees in a family tree away. Retired. In a niche field. He does about 3 to 5 days of work a month. It's a waste to have that much experience go to waste, and he's probably going to be bored or need extra money from time to time. Awesome. You made my day. Bad managers are the doom of so many companies. Yet it seems these managers are the last to face any consequences for their actions. I wonder why? Wouldn't it be hilarious if this company had to come to your new company and hired you as outside contractors at some point? And I am an engineer in a very niche field. Where I live there are about 15 to 18 PPL in my field in the whole country. That reminds me of that crazy specialized protected building restoration story. Once your old company reaches out and you contract for them for a hefty price, this will upgrade from MC to Pro Revenge.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.